I'm Anna,
I'm Jessica.
and this is the Paranoia Pair.
Okay. My first story comes from the subreddit Ghost Stories, and it's titled I Saw Myself Waving. This happened years ago, approximately in 2018. Around that time, I was 10 years old, and I was very involved in a video game called Free Fire, a battle royale. So much so that I stayed up late playing it, even hidden from my mother, and that day would not be the exception.
Me with my Nintendo DS.
Was that the flip ones?
Mm-hmm.
I miss those. It was approximately 10 at night, and my mother and sister were already getting ready to go to sleep. As a rat child, which I love that, a rat child. As a rat child, I was already looking forward to the two of them falling asleep so I could continue playing until 3 a.m. or more. After 20 minutes, I heard my mother close her door to her room. I waited 15 minutes to leave my room and to go into the living room to get my tablet, since my mother forced us to leave it there so as not to stay up late. When I passed in front of her bedroom, I opened the door a little to see if she had already fallen asleep. When I verified that she had, I slowly went down the stairs. Parentheses. The house is structured like this: bedrooms and bathrooms upstairs, living room, kitchen, patio, and another bathroom downstairs. When you go down the stairs, the living room is on the right and the kitchen is on the left. They are almost next to each other. Only a door and a bar separate them. When I went down the stairs, I grabbed my tablet, and when I turned, I saw towards the kitchen there was a mirror that we had not moved. In that mirror, I saw my reflection, but not a normal reflection, but a reflection where I was standing and waving at myself. At that moment, I was shocked. After 5 seconds, I reacted and ran away, throwing my tablet in the action. I started to cry and I went to my mother's room and I told her everything and what it was like. As expected, she didn't believe me. To this day, I don't know what I saw. I don't know if I was just hallucinating due to the hours of sleeplessness or what, but after that, I didn't stay up again. This one scares me because, like, mirrors are kind of scary, especially at nighttime.
Well, and they also say that mirrors are like portals.
And if you saw your reflection doing something else that you weren't doing, like, I'd fucking right there on the spot, diarrhea.
Okay, this one's real long.
Okay.
It's called My Crazy Friend Ended Up Becoming a Murderer.
Oh.
And this is from the subreddit Creepy Encounters.
Oh.
Okay. So today had been a particularly slow day at work, and I've been killing time reading these stories. Maybe enough time has passed, and I can share mine. I had this friend who was really into the occult. Unfortunately, I was the one who got him turned on to it. We had a mutual appreciation of the paranormal and all things weird, so I thought the subject would interest him. Also, I am aware of the noises that I make when I talk, and I'm very sorry.
What
You
noises?
like when I say my P's, like I feel like I go hard on the part.
I think you say pee's pretty normal.
Okay, well, sometimes when I listen back and I go, why do I talk like that?
I think your peas sound normal.
Okay. He started going deep into the subject to the point where he couldn't talk about anything else. He would actually interrupt a conversation and force the subject back to the occult matters. Rude, but sometimes people go through phases where their interest is all they want to talk about. It was a mostly forgivable offense. I think I should mention that this particular friend didn't have a very large friend circle. His depression and introverted nature kept him inside a lot. That is us. To a T.
Every true crime case where they're talking about the murderer being like socially incapable, staying home a lot and no friends.
And it just cut to me having a panic attack because I have to order something from a menu I've never seen before.
And there's like two cars behind you and you feel rushed. Or trying to put your like money back in your wallet in a line and there's like a single old person behind you and you're like trying to shove it in as fast because you're
I accidentally give the cashier like an extra dollar and I'm having like a meltdown because I'm like, now they're going to think I'm a stupid idiot.
or they say, "Do you want a bag?" and you say, "You too."
Yeah.
Thanks, you too.
I hate paying with cash because I feel like I don't know if I'm going to have enough money.
I only like paying with cash when it's self-checkout and I get to put the cash in there. If I'm paying like with a real person, like I definitely want to pay in a card because like it's less stressful that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a huge fear of my car getting declined.
Oh, so do I.
So I have to like constantly like, and when I'm at the store, I'll check my bank account like multiple
I
times.
check it before I go to checkout. And that's why I've been doing grocery pickup.
Honestly, though,
He didn't have the best luck in relationships with women. His world was kind of small, and I did enjoy hanging out with him, so I did my best to be a good friend. I didn't just I didn't want to just brush him off because he was acting a little weirder than normal. Honestly, for the longest time, he was totally normal. We'd chat and play games together on the PlayStation. Sometimes we'd go see movies with my boyfriend accompanying us. We all hung out at the park. We went swimming. Overall, we had a good time hanging out. Things started going downhill when he started to smoke DMT.
Oh my god.
Personally, I think psychedelics are amazing tools that can offer insight into our life, but they should be treated with respect. And my friend got to the point where he was making it himself. Apparently, it's pretty easy to do after a meager amount of research. I don't even trust homemade alcohol, let
No.
alone drugs.
No.
He was smoking it daily, multiple times a day. For those who aren't familiar with the substance, when you smoke it, you get transported to a different world, an entirely new plane of existence. Your body and yourself don't exist anymore. You're just exploring this alternate reality dreamscape. My personal experience with it led me to seeing a dragon once in this kaleidoscope of a cornucopia. People see all kinds of different things there. Imagine what it does to a person when they're smoking it 30 plus times in a day. I couldn't imagine being able to function.
No, it would really, like, make the normal living, like, not worth it probably at that point.
Probably.
Like, not real, because you assume that this new
Right.
state is probably what's real in your head.
Mhm. He started telling me things like he was the reincarnated Osiris. He said that he was seeing Egyptian hieroglyphs all over the place in waking life. He apparently had an hour-long conversation with entities in his bedroom even when he wasn't smoking DMT.
Be calling his mother.
Of course, I was very alarmed to hear all of this, and I told him he needed to take a serious break. No drugs at all for a few months so he can find his solid footing in reality again. At this point, I was still hanging out with him because he obviously needed help, and like I said before, he didn't have a lot of friends that could give him that. He was also the black sheep of the family, so I knew he wasn't getting any kind of support from them. He was really close with his sister, and I did reach out to her on Facebook to express my concerns. I pushed her to talk to him into getting some psychiatric help because he was slipping past the point of no return. I'm not really sure if she took my message seriously since we didn't really know each other. Plus, she is at least 6 years younger than us and possibly didn't grasp how serious the situation was becoming. In any case, I'll jump forward to now, the part where things start to get really creepy. My boyfriend had made arrangements to hang out with our friend at the park. I didn't really want to go because I felt like I needed a break from him and his nonsensical ranting. I just couldn't deal with it on that particular day. My boyfriend said he wasn't at all that bad, and we went anyway. We get to the park, and he is his usual self, ranting about Egypt and made up gods that only he knew the truth about, etc. He also had this large hunting knife that he kept fiddling with the whole time we were on a walk. He told us that he had been using it in ceremonial magic and that it had helped banish negative thoughts. It made me extremely uneasy. Same. Just being in a certain radius, someone fiddling with a knife,
There's
a
no need.
large hunting knife.
It's one thing to take it with you for, like, protection against bears or something, but,
Yeah.
like, playing with it while you're
At a
hanging out.
park.
Yeah, that's creepy.
He would do this thing where he would take the knife and make stabbing motions near his heart or head, like he was mock stabbing himself, all while holding a conversation with me or my boyfriend. I think we were both really on edge and didn't know how or what to say or do about it. I tried to distract him from doing it by bringing up other subjects that might interest him, but he kept on with his ritual. Keep in mind we were walking on a trail, so it wasn't like we could just say goodbye then and there. We had to walk back to our car and drop him off at his car. My boyfriend had the bright idea that we should get some lunch after our walk, even though I was doing my best to give him a look that said, "No, you crazy fuck, why do you want to spend any more time with this nut?" But it must not have been very effective, or my boyfriend was just ignoring it. Not sure. Either way, we ended up getting in the car to go get lunch. In the car I was driving, my boyfriend was in the passenger seat, and our weirdo friend was in the back. Why would you let him sit in the back? You would want him in the front, right?
That is
Or
pretty
am I
true
being
with the
crazy?
knife.
Yes, because he's gonna stab you and you're not gonna know.
Or, like, at least sit backwards in your seat so you can look at him.
When she's driving? The
the passenger.
Oh, okay. I was
Driving using her butt cheeks to like get to the steering wheel.
Okay, as we're heading through a busy part of town where all the shopping and restaurants are, the whole time I kept thinking about that huge ass knife he had in his pocket. And the whole time he kept rambling on about God knows what. I couldn't listen because my thoughts were 100% focused on driving. We get to the restaurant and my boyfriend runs inside to grab food. I'm left alone in the car with our friend and I try to act like I'm browsing on my phone when really I'm watching and listening as hard as I can. We don't talk. My boyfriend gets back and I complain that I'm tired. It's been a long day. Let's drop him off. So I drive us back to our friend's car and he doesn't get out of our vehicle. He just sits there. I have to get a little bit rude and ask him to please get out and go home. He gets out of our car, walks over to his passenger side. I start getting really scared and suspected the worst. He pulled a gun out of some kind of bag he had on his seat and just walks over to our car with it. I don't know why the fuck I did this, but I was so pissed that I just got out of my car, walked right up to him. I was maybe 3 foot away and could see it was a loaded 9mm. I kept asking him over and over, "What are you doing?" Because apparently that's all my brain could think to do. Told him to get in his car and go home, and he never said anything this whole time. Just kind of cried and had this wild look in his eye. For whatever reason, he got back in his car and drove off. I told my boyfriend obviously we were never hanging out with him again and that I didn't even want to talk to him anymore. No contact, nada. I would call the police.
I would be so mad.
A few months pass and he occasionally messages me through the PlayStation or texts my phone. He says a lot of random stuff, but I just ignore it. It turns out he moved down to Tennessee near Nashville. I don't know why. He had a roommate and I think their girlfriend lived there maybe. I'm not really sure about that situation. I think maybe he's turning his life around and getting a fresh start down there. I think it's the best to cut all contact and let him regroup. I'm not interested in any kind of friendship with him and I know he needed help beyond what I could offer. Again, I reached out to his sister to let her know that he had a gun. She managed to get it from him somehow. I but it did little good in the end. I get a call around 11 p.m. one night that wakes me up. It's a man claiming he's a detective in Gallatin, Tennessee, and my heart skips a beat. I start sweating and immediately ask what happened. Apparently, my former friend stabbed someone to death on Halloween Day. I don't know all the details, and the articles about it are kind of sparse. The whole thing is really surreal, and I'm just left feeling like I'm lucky that I didn't get shot last summer. Someone shared a news article.
What's he look like? Not what I was expecting.
No. He has been charged with first-degree murder after he stabbed his roommate with a kitchen knife on Halloween.
Oh no. The roommate or the roommate's girlfriend?
The roommate because his name was Ian Berte. He was unconscious and significantly bleeding from 2 puncture wounds from a knife. The guy is named Cody W. Boetcher. Boetcher? He was traveling towards Medina, Ohio, where he is originally from. That's like kind of close to us, isn't it?
I've never heard of it.
Some drugs cause swelling in the brain and cause lifelong effects. With enough times using it, it can lead to delusional behavior, paranoia, and can fry their brain so that they literally can't do anything on their own. So hallucinogenics can cause your brain to swell.
Well, yeah, because I've heard like people who do too much acid, like they're never the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next story is also from the Scary Stories subreddit, and it's titled "He Has No Face." This still messes with me and my brother to this day.
Slenderman?
I used to be really scared of Slenderman, and I was like a
Really?
junior in high school. I mean, like I had trouble sleeping, and it wasn't until a friend in school showed me a video of some guy dressed as Slenderman dancing to Gangnam Style that I finally like got over my fear. Okay, so I'm 23 now, but this happened when I was like 6 or 7. I've told a few people about it and I know it sounds crazy, but my older brother was there with me and he remembers everything the exact same way, like word for word. We even randomly bring it up sometimes just to make sure we're not losing it or making stuff up. We've called each other mid convo with someone else like, "Yo, tell them what happened." Anyways, here's what went down. Some quick context. I grew up in Hawaii, out in the country, way up in the mountains. At the time, it was just me, my mom, and my older brother. He was like 12 or 13, and we were all at home. My stepdad was out with our older brothers running errands or something, and my biological dad lived down the mountain like 45 minutes away. Me and my brother were chilling in our room playing video games. At some point, we noticed it got dark and the hallway light outside our door was off. We got a little spooked. I remember peeking out and seeing my mom's bedroom light on and her door open, but the rest of the house was pitch black. I think she told us earlier that she was going to take a bath. I don't fully remember, but somehow we knew she was in the bath. So we go to check on her. Her bedroom's empty, so we go to knock on the bathroom door and no answer. We keep knocking, calling out, and asking if she's okay. Still nothing. Eventually, we just go in, and the tub is full of water, but she's not in there. No mom. Nothing else weird, just a full tub, empty room, and the rest of the house in total darkness. At this point, we're both pretty freaked, and my brother puts me on my mom's bed and he starts calling out for her in the hallway. The way our house was set up, the hallway went past our rooms and off to the left towards the living room. He's calling out, nothing. So he comes back and starts trying to call her phone, no answer. Then, the part that still messes me up, we heard a whisper, like clear as day, like someone literally leaned in and whispered right into our ears. It was so real, it felt like my mom was sitting beside us, whispering something secretly to each of us individually. The first thing we heard was, "He's hiding." I screamed. My brother immediately threw my mom's blanket over my head, hugged me tight, and told me to close my eyes. I feel like in the moment, what would not make me feel better is to have someone smother me in a blanket. Then the same voice, same whisper, but louder. "He has no face." We both lost it. My brother starts calling my stepdad, like, "We can't find mom. Weird stuff's happening. I don't know what's going on." He told us to stay put and that he was coming home. Then we called our bio dad too, because depending on where he was, he might get there faster. We just sat there in my mom's room for like 20 to 30 minutes. Nothing else happened, but we were terrified. Eventually, my stepdad got home with our older brothers. They were in high school. We'd already told them what happened, so they immediately started tearing through the house, attic, closets, everything. My stepdad went towards the living room, and I don't remember exactly how he found her, but I remember hearing people talking and coming out to the living room. She was just sitting in the rocking chair. My stepdad was crouched in front of her, holding her hands, talking to her. I don't even remember what he was saying, but then suddenly she started laughing. Like this weird hysterical laugh. Not funny, ha ha, scary laughing, just nonstop for like a full minute. Then she jumped out of nowhere, ran to her bathroom, and started throwing up. And what came out wasn't normal. It was like black, like pitch black. We were just all standing there like, what the actual hell is going on? And after that, she was fine, like totally normal. But the craziest part is that she didn't remember any of it. She said the last thing she remembered was setting up her bath. Nothing after that. She still doesn't remember anything to this day. So, yeah, that happened and it still messes me up. That whispering part, especially, it felt so real. And the words, "he's hiding, he has no face," just know I'll never forget that. Thanks for reading. I had to get that off my chest again. LOL.
LOL.
Lols.
Because this one's not that creepy. This is from the subreddit Ghost Stories. It's called My Husband Died in 2020.
Oh,
After he died, I found out a series of very unpleasant things about him. It was devastating and took me more than 3 years to come to grips with what he did. He died in August of 2020, and I sold our condo in June of 2021. He had renovated the entire condo: kitchen, both bathrooms, flooring, trim, doors, everything. It took nearly 3 years. I have two small dogs, and when the realtor told me someone was coming to see the property, I took the dogs, locked the door, and went outside. The realtor told me to be out for about 30 minutes. After that period of time, I went back upstairs. The door was locked. I entered, and when I did, I looked as if people had been there. Doors were moved. The laundry doors were wide open. She says I had closed them and they were barn doors. And then I got a text from the realtor asking me why I didn't put the key in the lockbox in the main floor outside. The people couldn't get in with the realtor, and I'll be honest, I was in a very bad place after he died, particularly after what I had found, and thinking in detail was not something I was doing. I went to the main washroom and saw that the bath mat was sitting over the tub, not like the way I left it. I touched it and felt water, almost like someone got out of a shower and had been standing on it. It was a fairly big apartment, two bedrooms and an office. When the dogs and I were in the bedroom at night, I could hear noises in the kitchen after he died. I was too afraid to get out of bed. It was a concrete building, and we couldn't hear anything people were doing in the apartments near us, so hearing something was very unusual. I moved in June of 2021 to a new condo, and the first night there, I was alone. The dogs were being taken care of. I was laying in bed, not asleep, on my side at the edge. I felt someone brush past me. My hair actually moved. It scared the hell out of me, and I laid there for a few minutes afraid to move. Finally, I moved again recently, far from where I had been living. Last Christmas Eve, I was in bed. My bedroom door was open, and I clearly heard 3 knocks on that door. It happened twice. This also really scared me, and I have never been one to think of the spirit world until recently. Last Christmas, I made statements out loud and told him to leave me alone. So far, all has been good. The last 4 years have been a real ride. And I wanted to see like what she was talking about, and apparently her husband was a narcissist and was like living a double life or something. He had like many, many phones that she found after he died, and she went through the messages.
Oh, wow.
Um
So what did she think was in the house? Her husband?
yeah, she thought her husband was haunting her and
Okay.
following her.
So, like, ghost husband haunting
Yes,
her.
ghost
Okay,
husband
I didn't know if
haunting
she
her.
thought ghost husband or, like, if he, like, faked his death and was
Um,
physically haunting her.
he had been having an affair with a woman for 2.5 years, and she told him that she was pregnant and she was 30 at the time and he was 55.
I just listened to a Reddit story earlier today about a 23-year-old woman and her 37-year-old boyfriend who were having a baby together,
Mhm.
and, she was, like, literally days away from having the baby, and he was supposed to be coming up, and he was supposed to be moving there with her, and come to find out, like, they're like, "Hey, you're gonna be induced this weekend unless you don't naturally, like, have well, not naturally, unless you don't, like, go into labor this weekend and have the baby. On Monday, you'll be induced." And turns out he finally admitted to her that he's actually married with kids and that he didn't tell his wife, that he now feels backed in a corner and doesn't know what to do. So she, at 23, with like no other, and it was during COVID, with like nobody else to be there for her, had to give birth to this baby alone in a hospital. And then because it was COVID, had to leave immediately after, like the next day, because they were making people leave. And he ended up admitting to his wife that he had cheated on her and had a baby. And he wouldn't tell the wife the name or anything, but she found her contact information in his phone and contacted the 23-year-old, and apparently was like so nice and was like, "Do you need anything? Can I help you? I'm so sorry." And they planned to meet up to talk shit about the man. And anyway, she was divorcing him and they became friends, which was kind of cool.
This lady reached out to her dead husband's ex-wife, who he had been married to for 26 years, and literally just like listened to like all the stuff that she was going through, like, and held her hand while she was crying. And apparently he had cheated on her as well. He basically lied to her about who he was. He created a fake person, someone he thought I would like, and he lived as that person. Kept me apart from his ex-wife because she would expose him. A year later, I found an appointment card for a therapist he had been seeing. I knew he was in therapy, but he told me it was for PTSD. It wasn't. The person he was seeing was a therapist specializing in sex addiction and affairs. And she contacted the therapist. She told the therapist that he had died, and the therapist had told her that her husband had been having sex with men since he was in his early 20s.
Are they allowed to tell them that?
I don't know, but he's dead, so HIPAA can't exist, right?
Can it? I don't know.
He said he knew my husband was lying much of the time. He also told me he knew about the girlfriend and that she had been pregnant, but that my husband rarely talked about her. She got STD tested, and thank God she didn't have anything. Then Then she found the recordings. He had been recording all of his telephone conversations with everyone for years, and they were
Why?
on his laptop.
That's so weird.
He even recorded their meetings in person with the girlfriend, and she reached out to the girlfriend's husband because she wanted him to be aware. Oh, they had been separated since 2018 though. Oh, she's friends with the girlfriend's ex-husband. That's wild.
I thought it was in. Why are you recording all your phone conversations? Such a weird thing to do.
Well, he also had narcissistic personality disorder. Maybe he had a thing where he liked to listen to them. It's You know those people who go up to you when you're, like, on the street, like, listening to music, "Oh, what are you listening to?" It's just some guy being like, "My phone calls with my girlfriend for the past 3 years."
And like she's talking about what she was going to make for lunch that night.
Well, he was apparently spending time with her, like, during the day so that he could be home at night and his wife wouldn't be suspicious. So he'd go out on, like, lunch dates and stuff with her and, like, buy her things, go shopping.
What about what about work?
Uh,
When did these people have time?
yeah, because at 55, you're probably not retired.
Although she made good money, which sounds like they might have if they lived in a condo. I feel like you don't live in condos if you're poor.
Also depends on where, like, what state you're in.
If it's a Floridan condo, like they're rich.
An Ohio condo, though.
Okay, so here is an experience story from the subreddit r paranormal. I live in the heart of Appalachia, and this is easily the most terrifying story of one of my experiences. This story may be short or it may be drawn out. I am recounting these events as I type, as it was honestly one of the most horrifying things I've experienced, and it brings me genuine stress to think about. This happened maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I live in southern West Virginia and have my entire life. The woods and mountains surrounded every direction you look. And nighttime is a darkness that you can never dream of unless experienced. I was with a friend, I'll call him Mark. Mark was at my house one evening doing usual things, watching UFC, playing Xbox, etc. It was extremely late when we finally got bored and decided to go for a walk on a nearby trail to smoke a joint. This is not a particularly long trail, but it is very dense in the woods that surround it. It is easy to get freaked out when thinking of your surroundings. We finally get about halfway to the trail, about 30 minutes in, when we stop, pack our joint, and stand on the trail to chill and talk. The forest is very alive tonight. There are always noises in the woods, but the amount of animal activity for the first time was unsettling. At this point, it was probably past 1 a.m. This was strange and kind of eerie, but not alerting, as any sort of predatory animal in the area may cause a disturbance. We finish smoking and continue our walk when almost immediately the forest falls dead quiet. And as soon as the forest goes quiet, there is a voice. It almost sounds like a mocking humanoid voice, shaky and uncertain, almost like an old children's toy, like one of the ones with the crackly speakers and robotic voice, if you know what I mean. This immediately sets us off. We bolt directly down the opposite length of the trail, but the sound does not gain distance. It doesn't get closer per se, but no matter how far we ran down the trail, this eerie voice remains at the same volume, going over and over with no quieting or stopping. At this point, I am convinced that we are in genuine danger, something I have felt very few times. Finally, after sprinting for who knows how long, we exit the trail, gasping for breath and almost at the verge of tears about how frightening this was. We begin to exit the trail, and about 5 minutes from the exit, there is a bone shaking, heart stopping, murderous scream from directly behind us. I know what a mountain lion sounds like. This is not an animal. This was not someone playing or watching a movie. That scream sent birds flying from nests and made my heart drop into my stomach. It was the most genuinely depraved and violent scream that I have ever heard. This is a true story that I have only told to maybe 3 people, all of whom seem to brush it off as false. I've never been a person to push for the existence of paranormal or spiritual, but I genuinely believe I encountered something inhumane in those woods. Edit. I know I will receive questions such as what the voice was saying, or to go into the area and what, or to explain the area and what happened after. I genuinely cannot remember what the voice was saying, if anything intelligible. I don't know if I could understand it then, and I certainly can't recall understanding it after several years of blocking it out from my memory. All that I recall is that it was a fluctuating voice and pitch, shaking, almost just joining sounds together. After running from the scream at the end of the trail, we ran to the car, which was only about 5 more minutes from the trail, so we got there relatively fast from sprinting. I personally don't know why you were going into the woods in West Virginia at night to smoke pot to begin with.
Not with a Mothman around
No. Why not just do it on your back porch or in your bathroom?
in the daytime.
Yeah. Why do you gotta go out into the woods at 1 a.m.? The forest. Thanks for listening.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook at Paranoia Pair Pod. And we will see you next Friday.
Stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.